Okay, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Today,
Awesome.
I wanted to share a little bit of information. I mean, that I used to believe. Um, Being 50, it was hard to change my glutes, my
Glutes.
behind.
You're behind, your butt.
Yes,
Got it.
yes,
The butt
and
muscles.
also because I'm Asian, so I have this
Hmm.
belief that okay, that's it, genetic. You're supposed to
Like
be fat.
like flat as the phone type of thing. Got it. Uh-huh.
And I mean, working out with you, the amazing results that I have, and it wasn't that hard.
Hmm.
And why is this such a what am I call it? Why is this why is this possible just to change the muscle so quickly?
Why is it possible?
Yes, I mean, given our age, I mean, normally when younger people wanted to do it, it's easier, but being 50, I mean, I was surprised. Wow, being 50, you can still grow amazing muscles in your body.
True. Yeah, absolutely. The biggest challenge I think for most ladies is like many things in life, there's still a lot of false myths that are existent in our world today that maybe used to be a real thing 40, 50, 100 years ago, but they're no longer a real thing today. Um, an example is exactly that. You know, there's not a lot of 50-year-old women that believe they can make their body more youthful through
Mhm.
exercise
Right.
and through eating in a different way. Now, it's interesting because maybe, and I say maybe because I'm 42, I'm not 100, maybe 100 years ago, that was a reality. And maybe 100 years ago, it was a reality because nutrition and the science of nutrition and the science of exercise was not as advanced as it is today. Like
Mhm.
today, it's things are super advanced, and technology is making the advancement of exercise, training, nutrition, it's making it grow exponentially faster than what most of us can keep up with. A lot of new technology for nutrition and for transforming the body is existing today that the public isn't even aware of just yet. And it's slowly starting to trickle out and
Right.
get public attention,
Right.
which means, in short, the things that were impossible before, they're not so impossible today. But our minds can get so locked into old school thinking
Mhm.
that when something new school comes out, a lot of times we'll just reject it or not believe it exists until we see thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people getting results. Then there becomes a curve when the entire public just believes, okay, now this is real, this is true, right? When it comes to glutes, I think one of the reasons why most women didn't believe it is because no one talked about it.
Mhm.
Until people like J Lo started coming out with her 50-year-old photos with side comparisons when she was like 20, 50, and there was almost no difference except maybe she had a few extra pounds at 50 than at 20 because she was stick thin back then to a degree in a lot of those photos. Until people like her came out, it was just hard to fathom or believe. So now what we're learning is that no, it is possible and it's a reality. And you, Miss Helen, are living proof of it. And now that there's more women that are coming out and saying, hey, I'm 50, I want to try this, I want to make my body transform. Now we're starting to see more women do this as a norm. Like this video that we're producing right now is
Mhm.
going to sound really weird, in my opinion, in about 6 to 10 years from now,
Yeah.
because I believe in 6 to 10 years from the make of this actual video, the
Right.
average 50-year-old woman is probably going to look 40 or 30 or maybe even 25.
You're right. You're right. With the technology, even creating the protein powder makes a huge difference. Before I wouldn't touch this thing, but then getting into the fitness industry, everybody's taking it, and the results that they get makes a difference. So I think
Right.
that the technology creating the supplement, the vitamin makes a huge difference these days.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look at the women that stood on stage with you in
Yeah.
2019
Right.
when you were getting called for your division, which was masters and grandmasters. which is just a fancy term for women that were 40, 42 years old and up, right? Like the amount of women that went up standing next to you that looked younger than their actual age. Like when I was competing back in 2013, 2012, that you didn't see that. Like I remember one guy went up who was 60, and it was one guy, no females, and he won the division because he was by himself. Whereas now you see lots, like there was, I don't know if you remember, like what was there, 6, 8, 12 ladies at every competition that were in that age group between 40 and 60 years old that were up there, and they looked phenomenally young. I mean, not all of them, of course, but the majority of them, okay, all of them had more muscle than what I would have ever believed a woman in their 50s or 60s would have had when I was young, before I was introduced to this. Right? So 10 years from now, from this day, my God, when you go up on stage, you're probably going to see 20, 30, 50 women up there looking very similar to you, which then impacts the rest of our society, because the more that we see people as a living example who are not the J-Los that are like the $50 million women out there, but they're the average individual. They're the 9 to 5. They're the mom. They're the one that goes to, the college and then goes home and fits some fitness into her life in between her work and the rest of her daily living. When the average person starts to become young looking, that's when you know that the myth is no longer gone. We are no longer here. It's gone. We're just in that transition right now, and we're building this video, in my opinion, at the start of something really new and exciting for a lot of women out there in their 50s.
Yes, and also nowadays people have access to all those supplements too, right? Not just the celebrities.
Right. And they're not $1 million expenses anymore the way they used to be.
Yes, right? I bet maybe 20 years ago there are not many companies who make protein powder, but now look at how many brands are coming out, different options that we have.
Right. And not to mention that back in 20 years ago, back in the day, having protein powder used to literally taste like drinking cardboard mixed with some artificial chocolate. Like I remember the first time I ever put protein powder in my mouth, it went in my mouth and almost came back out. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I putting myself through this crap? This is horrible. And then I tried to convince myself that it was good tasting.
Right.
And then I was at work one time and I poured some into my shaker cup, my empty coffee cup. And the guy looked over at me, my coworker. He's like, "Hey, what's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's protein powder." This was like 1999, 2000. And he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's protein." He's like, "Protein? What's that?" I'm like, you don't hear that these days, but back then, like protein, like, and he looks at me and he's like, "Oh, that stuff for like bodybuilders? You're trying to be a bodybuilder?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm kind of skinny. I want to get some muscle on me. Hey, do you want to try some? It tastes really good." I totally lied to him at the time because I was trying to convince myself that it was good. And he's like, "Oh, it tastes really good. Yeah, sure." So I gave him some of mine. Cheers. In our coffee cups full of protein powder. I downed mine. He downs his. Back then, you needed a blender because it was always chunky. So after we're done, there's me, there's him. We both have like chocolate covered powder smeared mouths. Like it's a good thing it wasn't white powder, or else we probably would have gotten in trouble at the time. And he's looking at him and me, I'm looking at him, and we're both trying to look at each other like holding in the disgust. But we're both trying to say, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good." He doesn't want to hurt my feelings because I gave it to him. I don't want to look like a liar. So we're both like, wonderful. Well, it's good, real good. And we were sitting there gasping. It was just the most ridiculous moment. But I'm saying that, I'm sharing that story because that literally was 20 years ago. Whereas now you can get some amazing flavors. They pack in better quality nutrition now than before. And you can actually enjoy the experience. And it shows on your body after just a few months of regular training and good protein intake, whether of course that's powder or meat, but a mix of the both is usually best.
It's so true. Even my second daughter, right? She's actually, at first she wasn't bought in, me taking protein powder. Now she exercises every day. And then she's, oh, like last time, Mom, can I try some of the protein powder? Like
Now
intervention.
she takes her protein powder. Okay, so that's
It
really
blows my
interesting.
mind.
When did she start? When did she start? Because before I remember you telling me,
Yeah.
you told me that she was very like, oh, Mom, I don't know about this. Like
Right.
powder, isn't that like chemical? Isn't that bad for you? Now she's starting to take it.
Yeah, I
So
think
when did that happen?
recently, I mean, it took a year because she's really into fitness, right? Too.
Right,
I mean, she's only 22,
right,
and whatever mom doing is probably not her thing.
right.
But
Until she
then,
sees Mom winning competitions on stages, of course. Right,
or I just keep showing her my body, a new outfit. Caitlin, take a look at this. I mean, my daughter's right,
right,
and
right.
then. And then I was surprised when she always makes shakes for herself. She's a healthy eater. And then one
Right.
time she go, can I use some of your shake? I said, wow, okay.
So this is awesome. Now you're influencing your daughter to
Right.
become stronger and healthier using quality nutrition.
Yes, I was surprised. I was very surprised. I mean, the quality to taste is so much better. And honestly, the shake right now, it
Mm,
tastes so good. Like versus when you go out and get a shake with all the other artificial flavor in the
right,
shake. You pay, for example, $7, $8 for a shake, but now if you make it with protein powder, it's so much healthier.
right, and cheaper because if you buy the container yourself,
Right.
let's say the container costs you, let's say $90, and there's 45 servings in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's roughly give or take just a little over $2 a serving, right? And when you add fruits and you add some other things in it, it actually can become a meal in itself. So if
Yes.
you compare that to, let's say, going to the store and buying a big stock of chicken or beef, which is still good too. I mean, eat the way you want to eat
Right.
within means, of course. And
Mhm.
we're specifically talking about price. The price of one meal of your chicken could be to $7 to $10, depending
Mm.
where you buy it from. Whereas a
Right.
protein shake with the same level of protein content would only cost you around $2 or $3. So it's even more cost effective to incorporate shakes into your daily meals.
Exactly. When you put fruits and vegetable and you can put spinach, there's a fiber, right?
Right, right. Which totally equates to your question earlier, going back to your question about, well, why was it so hard for women to believe,
Mm.
or why was it hard to think that women could transform their glutes? Well, realizing now that the glutes is just a muscle. It's a muscle like your bicep, tricep, like any part of your body. Knowing that we have better nutrition now,
Mm.
it also gives us the ability to activate the muscle fibers in almost any part of our body and create change and benefit, because now we know how to work those muscles and we know how to help them recover, which is
Mhm.
the huge part of all fitness, right?
Mhm.
Like that's why one of the things that you'll hear people do in YouTube videos is they'll always give the generic advice of eat clean, work, train hard. But
Mhm.
going deeper into those rabbit holes, if you
Mhm.
want to maximize the performance and the look and feel of your glutes, all you have to do is work out your glutes the same way that you would grab a pair of weights and work your bicep. You
Mhm.
can do something similar to target your glutes, which
Mhm.
and you can help build the nutrition around those muscles so that way they grow faster.
It's amazing how we live now. I mean, with all those technology, all those innovations, we're going to stay 200 years old.
Yeah, you know what? It's a crazy idea right now, but it's very possible. I mean,
Mhm.
Dave Asprey is one of the first guys to publicly announce
Right.
that he's figured out how to live until 180. And we'll
Right.
see, right? Because right now he's 40, 45 or
Right.
43? He's in his mid 40s, I believe. I could be wrong.
Right.
Don't quote me on that. But
Right.
he's nowhere near 100,
Right.
right? But he believes he figured out how to live until 180. And
Mhm.
there's been books that have been written about living longer. One of them, it's on the tip of my tongue. A lot of you folks that are watching this video could probably relate or probably know which book it is. But there's a book out there that states that if you can manage to live
Mhm.
until the year 2040 or 2045,
Mhm.
our ability to live well past 100, even well past 200, is
Mhm.
highly, highly, highly possible.
Mhm.
Because right now, as we're speaking, there's new technology that's allowing us to not only keep our body strong, like this conversation, what we're talking about, but also on how to make the organs in our body younger, on how to make our body overall internally younger. So it's
Right.
actually reversing the age process,
Right.
how to extend the strength and endurance in our body. So we're not just strong in our teens and in our 20s and our 30s.
Right.
They also have technology on how to replace body parts using either 3D technology or 3D printing technology. So right now scientists are testing 3D printers that replace parts of your body. Like if let's say you lose your arm to a car accident, they can replace your arm or your leg. I mean, prosthetics has always been around, right?
Right.
But now they're making it more real to life. I just saw a video where their scientists were creating skin grafts out of a 3D digital printer, at a digital print, a printer that takes your DNA and prints skin that's replicative of your own real skin. And then they reapply that. I mean, there's so much good technology now at 2020, the year 2020. It's hard to imagine what's going to be possible for us in the year 2045. But what is possible to really believe in is how much longer we're going to be able to live. And that's going to be well over 100. Because right now, you and I are talking, the average person, the North American standard is 80 years old at this point. But that doesn't include focusing on the healthy people, the people who actually take health very seriously and really try to keep themselves healthy for a long period of time. Those people that focus on health, my assumption is that they're living well past 80 years old. If you take Japanese people, there's a certain part of Japan where the average lifespan is already past 100. It's like right now as we speak, and that's not a wow thing for them. That's a norm. That's a very regular norm for them, and they've been doing it for quite some time. And one of the big reasons why is because of the way they eat and the way they incorporate a certain amount of exercise into their daily lifestyle. So there's evidence already that we're already capable of doing that, because there's a certain amount of people in the world that are doing it, which means that we just have to replicate to some level what they're doing, and we can get a similar result.
You're right. Yesterday, I took the machine and I measured my body fat, my body age, and I share with my family, my daughter and my husband. So I measured everyone's body fat.
You measured everybody?
Because I have times I wanted to see, right? So
nice.
Interestingly, the machine is very accurate. My body age was yesterday 33. So exactly 20 years younger than my biological age.
Wow.
And then my family was close to his age.
Got it.
Just a little bit off, but and then my daughter, because she young, right? So because she's in her early 20s, so there's not a lot of difference. So hers is really accurate. Her visual fat, according to her, very low. And yes, you're right. We might all be living to 100 to 100 years if we take care of our health.
Right, 100%, 100%. So being able to take care of your health is super important, and that contributes to be able to make any part of your body younger if you'd like to, which again includes your glutes, which was the main portion of this topic. Making younger glutes on women in their 50s now being possible, and really just boiling down to how do you do it? Well, you just got to learn how to eat according to your metabolism type and learn how to train in a way that constantly creates stimulus in the area of your glutes.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.